Coming up on AgweekTV, this year's wet weather has increased the demand for tiling and tracks on equipment. We'll have the outlook for milk prices the rest of 2019 into 2020.
On the Soil Health Minute, you'll see why we don't recommend warm season grasses as a late season cover crop.
We'll tell you how and why this gazebo is sitting on top of this old silo.
Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Michelle Rook. Weather, the USDA report, and trade were the focus for the industry this week. To that, weather extremes continued in the northern Corn Belt with an October snowstorm. Farmers pushed hard early in the week to harvest soybeans that were ready ahead of the storm. This was the scene Wednesday afternoon at Agtegra in Aberdeen, South Dakota, as long lines of trucks waited to unload. The elevator already had a huge pile of beans on the ground. Before the storm hit, the USDA crop progress report showed only 22% of the corn in North Dakota was mature, 36% in South Dakota, and 39% in Minnesota. This year's late harvest and very wet conditions are leading farmers in the region to do what they can to salvage whatever they can of their crops. As a result, tracks for combines have become a hot item. Jenny Schlecht visited Erickson Implement in Carrington, North Dakota for this week's Ag Week cover story.
With an unprecedented amount of rain falling in recent weeks, implement dealers are seeing an uptick in the number of people looking for tracks to help them get their crops out of the field.
We don't foresee this being an easy fall or winter.
These are some of the worst harvest conditions David Nelson has seen in his 46 years in the implement business. He says some farmers are adding power rear-wheel drive to their combines, but the biggest seller is tracks.
We're selling whatever kind of track attachment we can get. Some of the places are running short on them already. I don't know that the rest of the world was ready for this.
This is Dusty Coast's second trip to the implement dealer. He raises small grains, edible beans, soybeans, and corn in central North Dakota, an area that's been hit especially hard with heavy rains.
It seems like this is getting to be more of a norm now.
Earlier this season, he bought bigger tires to get through his muddy bean fields, but it's only gotten wetter since then, so now he's getting tracks for the corn.
You don't have quite the visibility of the ground conditions in the corn as you do the beans, so we've decided to jump into a set of tracks on one of the machines. We're hoping that that helps us get at least what we can off.
A set of aftermarket tracks runs about $65,000, but Coast thinks without them, he'd end up leaving about 40% of his 1,500 acres of corn in the field. And he knows he's not the only one facing weather problems.
The struggle is not only for our area. This is kind of a nationwide struggle this year. It's affecting every single market there is. Freight companies trucking grain can't get into farmers' yards. The whole industry is affected.
In Carrington, this is Jenny Schlecht for Ag Week.
You can read more on this story in the next Ag Week magazine or at agweek.com. The second very wet harvest season in some parts of the region has more and more farmers thinking about tiling. Mikkel Pates looks at the costs and benefits of installing field drainage.
With our experiences with it, everything should be drain tiled. It can actually be really remarkable.
Rodney Nelson farms 4,500 acres near Armenia, about 30 miles west of Fargo.
It varies quite a bit, anywhere from Fargo clay to sandy loam.
Over the years, Nelson's tiled about 650 acres of his land. He says it's been worth the expense, showing the biggest benefits in a super wet year like this one.
I've got a couple of pieces of ground next to each other. One piece has corn on it, and it has a really nice looking crop coming, and the one next to it never got planted.
Some of the higher value crops don't like wet feet. Nelson says on his tiled land, the sugar beet yield is looking like 35 to 40 tons an acre, while his untiled land will average about 20 tons. Nelson farms with his son Bradley, and he believes tiling is better for the land.
I think it's good for the environment. You're going to have less runoff and wash away dirt, and maybe it'll keep ditches a little cleaner. Ditches and rivers.
Derek Ellingson, Vice President of Ellingson Water Management, says not only does tiling improve crops, it can increase the value of land.
Well, historically, most of the guys have picked out their worst land and had us install drain tile. What we've seen over them years is that worst land has become their best land.
Yeah, it's definitely in the back of my mind when we get a chance, and I'll definitely be doing more.
Near Armenia, this is Mikkel Pates for Ag Week.
USDA's October supply and demand numbers were much anticipated after the bullish surprises in the quarterly stocks report. USDA surprisingly increased harvested acres and corn yield slightly, which put production at 13.779 billion bushel. Ending stocks were lower than last month, but above trade guesses at 1.929 billion bushel. Soybean yield was lowered 1 bushel per acre, which dropped production to 3.55 billion bushel, and ending stocks were lowered to 460 million, below expectations. And USDA raised wheat ending stocks slightly to 1.043 billion bushel. While the trade focus this week was on the China talks, on Monday, President Trump signed the U.S.-Japan trade deal. The bilateral pact lowers tariffs on $2 billion of U.S. pork and beef and puts the U.S. on a level playing field with countries in the Comprehensive Trans-Pacific Partnership. The deal delivers welcome market access improvements for the U.S. dairy industry, but officials say it's just a start.
There is more work ahead to make certain that there's no backsliding and that we don't end up in a competitive position where our competing exporting countries like New Zealand have better market access to Japan than what we have.
Butter is one of several U.S. dairy products that won't get improved access to Japan.
Coming up on AgweekTV, we'll tell you about the innovative thing one family decided to do when the barn burned down next to their silo.
Explore the convergence of agriculture and technology at Cultivate 2019 on November 14th. Cultivate is an emerging technology in agriculture conference hosted by Emerging Prairie of Fargo. Connect with industry leaders and farmers and learn about how the latest tech innovations are being utilized in agriculture. For more information, visit emergingprairie.com.
One of the things that Mosaic does really well is focuses on balanced crop nutrition in the premium products that we design. And one of those products is Micro Essentials, but it provides in every single granule the nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, in some cases zinc. We added sulfur and zinc with Micro Essentials because sulfur is one of the most deficient nutrients and zinc is the most deficient micronutrient. So our goal is balanced crop nutrition and being able to provide those products to the farmers in the world today.
Ready for more? The new Fendt 900 Vario is impressive on every level. With groundbreaking features, you'll be ready for everyday challenges now and in the future. New smart connectivity solutions make the Fendt 900 series from Butler Machinery an intelligent choice for your farm. We're also proud to carry the Fendt Ideal, a new combine for a new era of farming. Designed to be automated in operation, the Ideal combine is already setting industry standards for efficiency and output. Visit butlermachinery.com to schedule a demo at your operation.
Nothing holds more promise than a seed. And when it comes from Peterson Farm Seed, it's backed with a promise from us. We'll sell no seed we wouldn't be happy to plant on our own farm, so that growers like Mark can keep a promise of his own, to teach his kids how to care for the land, their family, and their community, and build a future that extends generations. Grow your promise. Grow Peterson Farm Seed.
At Superior Grain Equipment, we're committed to quality and service, offering you the best in grain storage and dryers for any size operation. Our experts will work with you to determine the most efficient and economical storage solution for your needs. We help protect your bottom line and your future with the industry's best bins and warranties. Make the superior choice for protection today and tomorrow with Superior Grain Equipment.
Welcome back. The Trump administration has offered the biofuels industry a deal to make up for the lost volumes in the renewable fuel standard due to the small refinery exemptions. The president said Monday the proposal would boost the amount of corn-based ethanol mixed in the nation's fuel starting in 2020 to about 16 billion gallons. South Dakota Corn Growers President Doug Noem says they're cautiously optimistic about the offer.
You know, the big thing still is the waivers and the reallocation of the waivers. If we get 15 or 16 or 16 billion gallons, but we keep giving up waivers, then it's one step forward, one step back, or two steps back.
EPA also says it will reopen the rulemaking for the 2020 RFS volumes and proposes to account for the waivers in the volume requirements to restore integrity to the RFS. However, that doesn't make up for the lost volumes from 2016 to 2018 that have forced many ethanol facilities offline.
21 plants are offline right now, and a lot of other ones are slowed down to 50% or 75%, and so it's really a difficult situation.
EPA's move comes after the ethanol industry was outraged by EPA's decision in August to exempt 31 oil refineries from their obligations under the RFS. North Dakota State is now a leader in developing plant-based plastics. Earlier this year, NDSU joined and then quickly became the lead school in a multi-university research project. The Center for Bioplastics and Biocomposites is looking for ways to reduce the amount of waste products people put into the environment by creating alternatives made of biomaterials. A manufacturer will use crop byproducts or crop waste to develop both biodegradable and durable plastics. Some of the research focuses on corn and soy waste, but this car part is made from biomass waste from making tequila.
And what we've been able to show is that by making a petrochemical plastic that's filled with a biomass, we actually have superior mechanical properties, we have easier processing, lower energy consumption during processing, and so this is a win-win for everybody.
Several different NDSU departments are involved in the project, from engineering to polymers and coatings. CB Squared, as it's called, is funded by the National Science Foundation Center and by its industry partners. If you ever drive on Highway 59 a few miles north of Morris, Minnesota, it may have caught your eye, and you might have wondered, what is sitting on the top of that old silo? Rose Dunn has an answer and gives you a look inside.
Like many of the world's best and sometimes worst ideas, it all started with a bar bet. But 5 years and tons of steel later, there was a gazebo on top of this old silo.
Well, it was on a $100 bet that he couldn't do it. Of course, there was no blueprints or nothing written down on paper. He just knew how to do that kind of thing.
Artist Lesmeister's husband Jack and their sons started building this gazebo in the late 80s after the barn next to it burned down. Much of the gazebo was built on the ground. In 1993, it was perched on top of the silo with a 75-ton crane. Windows, wood trim, and railings were added once it was in place.
All the things that wouldn't take the flexing and the stresses of lifting.
Oh, it's nice and sunny up here.
There we are.
Jack's son Lane was a young teen at the time.
I would have to say probably the most daunting thing was hanging upside down to weld a lot of the seams. There was just no way to get at the angle.
In addition to farming, the Lesmeisters are in the steel business, so they were able to keep costs down. Still, they estimate it was about $40,000 to build and install. Lane estimates there are 15 to 20 tons of steel in the structure, much of it recycled I-beams from bridges around the area. Holding it up inside the silo are 4 50-foot beams sunk into 8 feet of concrete.
That thing will out-survive all the buildings on this farm easily. I'll go up there when there's large storms. It doesn't bother me at all because it doesn't even move.
Jack passed away about 3 years ago, but he remains an important presence in the gazebo.
Yeah, whenever I have a tough day or something, I come up and plunk down in Dad's chair and ask him.
The family finds the gazebo a peaceful place to relax and enjoy the 8-mile view. Near Morris, Minnesota, this is Rose Dunn for Ag Week.
Lane says it's a 3-season gazebo, so soon they'll be shutting it down for the winter. Still ahead on Ag Week TV, good news for dairy producers. Milk prices are improving.
And on the Soil Health Minute, we'll have a great side-by-side comparison of warm and cool season grass cover crops.
Upgrade your trailer to electric with the Rolltech electric system from AgriCover. Strong, flexible pivot arms and motor mount rotate and telescope, allowing the roll tube to rise and flex over heaped loads. The positive automatic lock is impossible to back off to control the flow of grain. This integrated system uses one wireless remote to operate up to 10 tarps and hoppers, keeping your driver out of the dust, rain, and harm's way. See the Rolltech system in action at an AgriCover dealer near you. Martinson Ag Risk Management offers a variety of crop marketing and crop insurance packages to our customers. With over 40 years of experience, our dedicated staff works hard to ensure you get the best advice on crop insurance, marketing, and risk management. Contact Randy or any of the staff at Martinson Ag Risk Management today at 701-205-4200 or visit us online at martinsonag.com.
How can one tillage tool handle most field conditions, residue types, and tillage practices? It takes a Renegade, the Summers VRT Renegade. Switch from vertical to aggressive tillage and anywhere in between. Adjust blade angles, tillage depth, and more on the go, all from an iPad. Get the tillage results you want, like only the Summers VRT Renegade can. For more information or a demo, contact your Summers dealer.
Dynaflow is the ultimate high-volume water management pump. Whether you're experiencing flooding, emptying sloughs, transferring ponds, or working on irrigation, the Dynaflow pump works in as little as 18 inches of water and is designed to move 3,000 gallons per minute. The Dynaflow pump features neoprene-lined turbine bearings backed up with a sand collar to prevent debris and grit, all to assure your pump keeps working season after season. Find out more at dynaflowpump.com.
Steffes Group, selling land and the equipment to farm it since 1960. If you're interested in selling or have questions about our auction process, head to our website at steffesgroup.com to contact us at any one of our 4 locations located throughout the Midwest. You can also visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel to view all of our auction previews and recaps to stay up to date on the market in your area.
Dairy farmers are starting to see a glimmer of hope with the best milk prices they've seen since 2014. So what's driving the rebound and how long will it last? I asked some of the experts at the World Dairy Expo.
After 5 years of low milk prices, dairy farmers are finally seeing a better market. In fact, values are back above break even for some operations.
We're about $1.30, $1.40 higher than we were this time last year. So we've had a definite improvement.
Milk prices are following this somewhat stronger but yet volatile cheese market.
Cheese is continuing to grow. It's been the supporting part of the dairy industry, but overall dairy consumption is up.
U.S. milk production per cow has also slowed, and cow numbers are down 30,000 head versus 2018 due to herd liquidation and weather extremes.
We've had milk production that's actually slowed. It's been negative in some months, and we've been flat basically for the first half of the year.
The lack of plant capacity in the Midwest also pressured prices, but has eased with lower milk production.
You had excess loads of milk, and really what the main drop was on the overorder premiums we had here. Thank goodness the overorder premiums are starting to show up again. The milk prices are starting to go up.
And with exports slowly rising, the outlook for 2020 is optimistic.
I'm anticipating that maybe this next year will be as much as $1 higher over this current year.
Supply and demand's more in balance worldwide, and I think it looks good for the next year or so.
So that should put many farmers in the black as long as feed prices don't rise substantially.
After our first snowstorm of the season, will the weather ahead allow any harvest progress? Here's John with our AgriWeather Outlook.
Weather portion of Ag Week now. We've just been through a phenomenal storm in the northern plains, North Dakota in particular. Another round of extreme moisture. A lot of this one coming in the form of snow. That will have impact on the next couple of weeks. The outlook here generally cool, and the systems will continue. It's not going to dry up completely anywhere in the northern plains, upper Midwest, Corn Belt, but the systems overall are looking a little bit weaker as we go forward. The big circulation you see here, that's the swirl of the retreating area of low pressure, getting weaker and smaller as it ejects up into northeastern Canada. The jet stream itself will kind of flatten out just a little bit, but we will still see a couple of little ripples. The air will remain cool, especially on areas that are melting snowfall. Meanwhile, it continues to be rather summery in the deep south, which is fairly typical in October, but it's a little hotter than usual across many areas of the south. And when we get a warm day up into the southern Corn Belt, there will be some modest heat there, some days into the 70s, but that won't get too far north during this period. By the end of the week, it will be a little less cold, and we should have melted a lot of, if not all, of the snow. Looking ahead to next week, jet stream will see a wave of low pressure form, move through but it does look relatively weak. That will bring some reinforcing cold air as we get into the latter part of October. Precipitation-wise, the dry weather will be Central Plains through Southwest. Rain and snow in the Northwest, a lot of rain showers in the Southeast. We'll likely see some transitioning out of the Dakotas, Minnesota into the Northern Corn Belt, but not a lot of moisture expected. Next week, now we're talking fairly late in October, might be just a little bit wetter, but the really heavy areas of rain look like the lower Mississippi River Valley. The West Coast will continue to be wet. Some of this, of course, could be in the form of snow showers. The pattern, though, is not suggesting super cold temperatures toward the end of October.
This is Dennis Belisky reminding you we do auctions and we do them well. You've built your operation with hard work, and when it's time to sell, all or part, you deserve the best. Details from repairs and preparation to promotion and settlements are not routine. Chances are you'll only do this once, so we'll tailor an auction just for you and get it done right. On-site at your farm or added to one of our highly successful Alaris Center auctions, we have the skill, reputation, and integrity to meet your needs with best-in-class commitment and quality service. Find us at resourceauction.com or call 701-757-4015.
Mother Nature doesn't always cooperate. So when conditions are right, be ready with genuine Case IH parts from Titan Machinery. Only genuine Case IH parts are engineered to keep your equipment running at peak efficiency when you're running around the clock. Don't risk your bottom line with off-brand parts that don't meet the same standards. Visit your local Titan Machinery dealership today to find out why genuine Case IH parts offer the best value and performance for your operation.
Dig, lay, and bury drain tile all in one pass with the Crary Tile Pro Plow. The Crary Tile Pro Plow lays tile up to 7 feet deep with boot sizes of 4 to 12 inches. Advantages of installing drain tile to your field provides increased overall yield, improved soil moisture levels, and controls soil erosion. It pays to tile with a Crary Tile Pro. To locate a dealer near you, visit www.crarytilepro.com.
With the success of the Case IH Steiger Quad Track and Magnum Road Track tractors, it's no secret why Case IH is the leader of the track. So it wasn't surprising when the competition started imitating us. But only Case IH offers a 5-axle design to give you a smoother ride, more power to the ground, with less berming and compaction. Still, we're flattered. In fact, if we weren't already red, we'd be blushing.
Mayo Manufacturing, your Red River Valley source for Batco. Mayo Manufacturing, your Red River Valley Batco dealer.
The Ag Week Soil Health Minute is sponsored by the North Dakota Corn Council and the North Dakota Soybean Council.
When you plant your cover crops can make a big difference in their growth. In this week's Soil Health Minute, Abby Wick compares warm and cool season grass cover crops.
You've heard me talk a lot about the timeliness of seeding cover crops and also about whether you should seed warm seasons or cool seasons. And so here on campus we have a great example of 2 different planting dates for warm seasons and also cool seasons. So you can see the difference in growth and establishment of each of these cover crops. The first warm season example we have is sorghum Sudan grass. And you can see the 2 different planting dates that are a couple weeks apart. And the earlier planting date we have decent growth. However, the later we planted sorghum Sudan, the less it grew and the less we saw the benefits of having that in a mix. Here's another example of a warm season. This is millet. In this case, again, you have the earlier planting date, you get a little more biomass, and the later you get in the season, the less biomass you get. So if using a warm season grass as part of a cover crop, you really need to be looking at it in a full season mix to really get the benefits. So now we're looking at a cool season winter annual cereal rye. And you can see between the 2 planting dates, there really isn't much difference in growth. Another cool season grass that won't overwinter, but is still a great option, are oats. And you can see that there is some difference in growth between the 2 seeding dates. However, you're still getting excellent cover. With the examples we looked at, you can see how planting date and selection of cover crop species is really important to successful use on your farm.
The USDA announced it's investing $152 million in rural broadband and connectivity across 14 states. North Dakota's Morton County will get nearly $1 million for a 49-mile fiber-to-home network that will benefit 125 underserved households. Minnesota's Aitkin County will get nearly $2 million to create a fiber network for 235 establishments. USDA says the project seeks to help with business and economic development, as well as telehealth and educational improvements. Straight ahead, if you're looking for a vintage tractor, we'll tell you how you can have your pick from hundreds up for auction.
DTE is your headquarters for flatbeds and service bodies for your truck. Whether you need to haul bales, heavy commercial equipment, or take every tool with you, DTE has the truck equipment you need. We have over 200 units on hand, or will custom build a flatbed or service body on your truck.
Like this Dewey's bale bed with dual lift cylinder arms. Lift, load, and handle your bales with ease.
When you need help at the farm, your business, or in the oil patch, count on DTE. DTE, let us build a truck for you.
Where do you go for the latest news in agriculture? AgWeek magazine. Reaching over 70,000 farmers and ranchers in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Montana. AgWeek provides the most up-to-date information on the markets, the trends, and the people who make it all happen. We're your source for news, not fluff. Dependable, trusted. AgWeek. Subscribe today by calling 1-800-811-2580.
AgWeek is excited to bring you the AgWeek app with useful features and the latest news and information right at your fingertips. Get your AgWeek news, weather, and the latest episodes of AgweekTV. Plus, see real-time information on the futures market and view local cash bids for your crops. Stay updated and take AgWeek with you wherever you are. Download the AgWeek app today.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. Even though we are one of the most food-rich countries in the world, 15 million children don't know where their next meal is coming from. This is unacceptable, and something the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is working to solve. Instead of accepting that our country lets billions of pounds of surplus food go to waste every year, Feeding America has made it their mission to help families in need by rescuing this food. Through food pantries and meal programs, the nationwide network of food banks provides more than 3 billion meals, serving virtually every community in the United States, including yours. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank by visiting feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
A Vergas, Minnesota man spent 30 years building a vintage tractor collection to be envied. Keith Kicker had more than 200 old cases, rare John Deeres, and vintage Masseys. Some he'd renovated, while others are as close to original as possible. But Keith passed away in February, and now his collection is up for auction. An online auction is underway and ends October 15th. Keith's wife Cheryl says it's hard to see them go, but she hopes others enjoy them as much as her husband did.
Kind of sad. You know, I've seen these for years. It's sad that it's kind of just like an end of an era for me. And I think, you know, having his memory live on is going to be a nice thing.
There's also a large collection of tractor parts and implements being auctioned off. A full list of items can be found at the website on your screen. This week's show marks another milestone for AgweekTV. It's our 250th episode since launching in January of 2015. We've had a great time bringing you ag news and features to help improve your operation or maybe make you smile. So thanks for watching AgweekTV this week and every week. And remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or download the AgWeek app, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. And we'll see you next week.